The Tropical Aquarium LEGO sent me for review has me wondering, who is this for? And while the answer seems to be obvious for people responsible for putting this into production, the internet seems to think otherwise. Is this the new Black Panther bust and Hulk buster, or a hidden gem that's being severely misunderstood? Let's find out. The box follows the usual 18+ black background style and is actually quite big. Not Death Star levels of big, but large enough for a 4000+ pieces model. The instruction booklet is quite thick and has a few spreads of pages about the model, the fish species, the coral species, and some of the model's foreplay functions I'll show you later. The model itself matches the piece count in size. It is quite large at the end of the day and very colorful, probably the most colorful LEGO set ever done, with the designer even making a joke about it in the presentation I got to see during LEGO Fan Media Days a few weeks ago.
The way this came to be is I was just staring at at one of our color palettes and I thought, like, whoa, could we just use all of these?
In reality, it doesn't use the entire color palette, but it's pretty close. One of the standout features will be the black frame that kinda houses the entire thing in spirit, as there's no glass here. Your hands can go across it and you can touch all of the plastic marine life inside quite easily. It is meant to be a saltwater fish tank, which makes sense from a design standpoint, as it does allow to include colorful coral species that would otherwise not be found in freshwater tanks. And with all of the colorful options come lots of inspired nice part usages to get some of the shapes just right, in the same way the Botanical Collection does with lots of their products. The brain coral is using purple minifigure chef's ads. These pair of yellowish plants were made using a bunch of recolored yellow power elements from minifigures like Gambit from the X-Mansion set. There's sand green mops, aqua blue and transparent recolored broomstick pieces, and more. I did find interesting to see that these large panels here are recolored versions of the ones seen in the LEGO Ideas Luxo Jr. set. Now there's a mix of real-life coral that can be named, like the previously mentioned brain coral, but then there's the bubble tip anemone or the purple corkscrew anemone, but then completely made-up ones that LEGO even invites you to name in the building instructions, which is odd, to say the least. The seaweeds are fairly recognizable though, and were done with tons of botanical elements done in dark green and transparent dark green as well, which looks very believable and pricey. Most of these are seen gathered around the rock formations of the build, placed at odd angles, which was cool to build, sitting on top of a sand floor with some snails, patterns done with some tiles, and some seashells, with the smaller ones even having glow-in-the-dark pieces. The background was built up with tons of azure plates, with lots of tiles to make a seemingly random pattern I was not so fond of building, but does provide mounting points for some of the seaweed, seashells, snails, and even a selection of transparent pieces that mimic the look of air bubbles. As explained by the designer, it was also done this way to make the model more sturdy and easy to pick up, which is understandable from a stability standpoint, yet it still looks off-putting to me, giving it a bit of a playset look instead of the premium 18+ vibes this one desperately needed to convey to potential customers. Not much to look at from the back, but at least it looks better than some others we've seen recently. It doesn't really matter though, because you'll probably be displaying this against the wall anyway, so there's that. Being the fish tank that this is, there's obviously some of those as well. At the front, a rainbow fish, towards the back, a pair of angel fish, with the lavender one here missing one of the colored slopes right out of the box, which was replaced in my copy of the set with a printed letter tile. What's up with that? And then the made-up brickfish is up here, not based in any real species it seems, though I guess some similarities could be drawn. All of the fish are using a new to this set fin element that clips into place and allows for interesting shapes and patterns depending on how you use it. The fish use 4 color variants of the new element, but one of the plants uses a 5th shade in transparent dark green. Last but not least, hidden in its cave lies the sea crab, which is the perfect segue for the set's foreplay functions, starting off with the one where the crab can come out of his cave when you turn a small rock on the side. Close to it, 2 more mechanisms can be triggered. First, this knob that when turned brings the bubble tip anemone to life, and then a crank that animates the brickfish in a very lifelike way. The last function brings us to the other side of the fish tank, where a treasure chest can be found next to its trigger that, when turned, makes it open and close, allowing the treasure to be seen inside. And I do appreciate the fact that it's sitting at an angle, which makes it visually more appealing than having had it sitting flat on the ground. Seeing the mechanism in the back isn't that appealing, though this will be out of sight for most of the time. Same for the axles that transfer the movement for the other three functions back there. Now, as someone who has maintained freshwater fish tanks in the past, having bred guppies, mollies, platies and the likes of those species, there was something oddly captivating and relaxing even by just standing in front of my aquariums and seeing the guys swim around minding their own business. And when I'm looking at the LEGO Tropical Aquarium, I don't get that at all. Don't get me wrong, the build looks beautiful, vibrant and colorful, and the model designer made a great job with the build, fun piece choices, and even functions to make it all more interesting. But this is one of those cases of why have a LEGO aquarium when you could buy a real one instead, with real fish inside for a fraction of the price. And yes, we gotta talk about the price. A non-licensed LEGO set with a few new pieces, no prints, and a piece count of little over 4,000 should at most retail for $300 to $350. Well, this one will retail for $480. I didn't stutter. $480. That is outrageously overpriced for what you're getting out of these. If you bought two of these, you'd still get less pieces and minifigures than the Death Star, a Star Wars set, mind you, and that is saying a lot. Speaking of, there's the sail barge at $500 that gets you fewer pieces, sure, but it is a licensed product with lots of minifigures. There's also the Avengers Tower, again, licensed product, 31 minifigures and over 5,000 pieces, and let's not forget Rivendell, one of the best sets ever made by a LEGO that displays beautifully as the best building experience of all time, 15 minifigures, a ton of prints, and an extra 2,000 pieces. The internet's reception for this product is mostly positive as far as the design goes, but no one can let that price slide, with good reason. Maybe I'm completely missing the point of this set and will be proven wrong by sales numbers, but my gut tells me otherwise. You know what happens to big LEGO sets with big LEGO boxes that are taking up too much space on LEGO's warehouses and don't sell? Here's some clues. I honestly don't know who LEGO thinks this is for. I'm sure some people will like it, sure, but not enough to possibly justify making a near $500 LEGO set out of a very niche hobby. The other $500 products have massive fandoms both inside and outside of LEGO, with proven track records to justify those gambles. Maybe the now retired Creator 3-in-1 fish tank did amazingly well for the company and they decided to pursue a much bigger and adult-oriented version to capitalize on that, I wonder. But the Creator one did something clever by including a clownfish and a regal blue tank. You know, a very well-known duo of characters out of a very well-known Pixar movie. So maybe if the LEGO Tropical Aquarium had gone the Nemo branding route, the tone of the review could have been different. So yeah, if you really like this set, I would probably wait to buy it if I were you. It is not worth it for the retail price it will go for on release date in mid-November, and something tells me we'll be seeing serious discounts on it in a few months' time, or, depending on how poorly these may do sales-wise, even before the end of the year. Time will tell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.